Unity has a new animation generator in beta as part of its overall Unity AI beta. I reviewed the new beta Unity AI Assistant in a pair of recent videos and compared it with similar AI assistants. But in the interest of time, I did not include the animation generator in that video, so that is the focus of this video. I was excited when I first saw the animation generator demonstrated, but I wanted to find out whether it could really be useful, so I tried some experiments that I will show here. By the way, if you find this video interesting or helpful, please let me know by liking the video or subscribing to the channel, or leave me a comment to tell me what you think. The animation generator is specifically for humanoid animation. This seems reasonable given that if the structure is not human, there are infinite possible configurations of bones and joints. The animation generator is fun to use. Let's try a few things and then we will look deeper into how useful the animation generator really is. Okay, let's try to generate some animations. I've created a folder simply called Generated Animations, and the animation generator will put the generated animations in the selected folder, so it will put them here. So to create an animation, under the AI menu, Generate New, Animation. So this creates one. Man doing a backflip. And I will type that same thing as the prompt. Man doing a backflip. Ask that to generate. Okay, he's actually just kind of jumping up. He's not flipping. Let's try man doing a backflip where he rolls over in the air and see if that does something different. All right, that looks like more of a backflip. Okay, great. So let's save that one. Close this. And now we have this saved. And again, we can look at this in our usual inspector window. And if we run it, there he is doing his backflip. The animation generator can also create animation clips from video. This could almost be like having a motion capture studio to create specialized clips just using a camera. The documentation provides guidelines that the video should have only one person, include the full body, and the camera should be stable. So I went to this website called pexels.com, which has some free images and free videos. And I chose this video as an example, a lady doing yoga. So we'll use this to test the Unity animation generator and see if we can get a Unity animation clip which matches this yoga. We will create a new animation. Let's call it Lady Doing Yoga. We will switch to video to motion. Before we can generate the clip, we actually need to drag the animation into the Unity project. Now in the animation generator, we can choose that clip. There we go. And now we can tell it to generate. I had paused the video. That took about 2 minutes for the generation, but let's see what it looks like now. So I'm going to try to start the video and the animation as close together so that we can see them side by side. It's a little bit tricky. But it's pretty close, and we can see that the generated animation is in fact quite close to the video. It is, however, cut off after 10 seconds. So that's a limit to the generated videos. Besides being fun, the new animation generator could be important for humanoid AI to help us create a large variety of animation clips for different situations. A humanoid AI character might need to do anything. Pick things up, move something out of the way, use a computer, catch something that is thrown, put a key in a lock. There may not be existing clips for everything we might want a humanoid AI to do. So if the animation generator works well, it would help a lot with humanoid AI. So the animation generator is fun, but can it actually be useful? In my last video, I showed how to set up a layered animation example so we have this man who can stand, walk, or run and wave his arm anytime. The animation clips I used were purchased from the Unity Asset Store. There are 4 animation clips used in this example: idle, walk, and run, which I had obtained from the Movement AnimSet Pro asset from Kubold, and the wave animation that I had obtained from the Human Basic Motions asset from Kevin Iglesias. I'm going to show that we can replace those clips with ones created by the animation generator. However, the quality of the generated clips may not be as good as motion capture clips. The user experience for creating the clips could be improved. I will suggest some specific improvements at the end. I'm going to go through the process for creating the 4 animation clips. There are some configuration settings for the generator and for the generated clips. I tried a combination of settings through trial and error. I will show here the settings that work the best. Okay, so I'm going to run through the process from beginning to end of generating the 4 animation clips using the new Unity animation generator. I might edit this just for brevity when we have to wait for generation to happen, or if I pause to think about what to do next, I may cut out a few seconds of the video. The first thing we will do is try to generate the idle clip. This will be the simplest. So we bring up the animation generator. Let's call this clip generated idle. And we will simply type here a man idling. And I'm going to add a little bit more to this and say shifting his weight from side to side, because when I've experimented with this before, sometimes the idle is so subtle you can hardly see any movement, so maybe we'll get a little bit of swaying. So let's generate that. Okay, so we have a man idling. We can see that here. Rotate this a little bit, and he's shifting around a little bit. So that seems reasonable. Now, something we might want to do though, when we reach the end, we see there's a bit of a jump. If we click here, loop pose, that improves that. So let's now save this, promote to current asset, and so at this point we have this idle animation that we've created. That one was simple. Let's now create the walking animation clip. So we give this the name generated walk, and I will just say a man walking, and we will generate that. And in fact, we have a man walking that looks pretty good. Let's rotate that around a little bit. Now it looks reasonable. Now we do want, though, in a way, just one step where the man steps, say left, right, stops, and then we loop that. Now there is this trim feature where the generation tool tries to find the best clip, and here in this green, it's shown in green that that's the best looped sub piece of the clip. So we want that trimmed. We also do want to So we've checked off best loop, and we also want to check root motion. So let's trim that and get a trim version of the clip. Okay, now at the beginning, he has his right foot forward. And let's kind of just drag this slowly. He has his right foot forward. If we go slowly, sorry about that. He brings forward his left leg, brings forward the right leg, and that's the end of the loop. So the loop kind of begins and ends with his right foot forward. That's important to know because we need that to match up with the running clip. Now let's loop this. We do want to loop the pose. Okay, there we go. We've looped it. Let's save that. So now we have the generated walk. Let's now create a generated run. Run. And I would just say a man running, generate. Okay, so here's a run. It's a little bit funny. It looks like the man steps backwards a couple steps and then he runs. Let's look over here. One thing that I think would be nice in terms of the user interface would be if these editing tools were sort of combined. There's some extra features here in the generator itself, but then there are certain things he steps back and then steps forward. So that's a little bit odd. We really just want the running itself. And I should say too, if we run this again, we would get a different running clip. In fact, let's try that. Let's just try again and we'll get something different. Okay, now the man's running in a circle. Okay, let's try again and say a man running straight. That's pretty good. He's kind of stopping at the end and we just want the loop. But maybe if we go to the trim section here, perhaps the tool can find a good section in the middle where the man is just running, not slowing down, not speeding up. So let's click root motion. And we want the trim version of this one, which again is the third one we generated. So now we're talking about this one. Again, he's oriented differently, but let's take a look at this in the main animation clip inspector. All right, well, this seems like a run. And if we drag it forward, it kind of starts with his left foot forward, right foot forward, left foot forward again, right foot, left foot. So you know what? This is actually, he's actually going through 2 full cycles in this in this trimmed clip. So let's trim it again because we really just want one cycle, just one left foot, right foot, stop. So let's trim that again and see what we have now. So now he starts left foot forward, left foot down, right foot forward, left foot forward. Okay, that's a single cycle. That seems pretty good. Let's save that one. Let's close the generator now and work with our 3 clips for idle, walk, and run. I've closed the animation generator, but let's look at these 3 clips in the animation clip inspector. There are some changes we need to make. So here they are, idle, run, and walk. We notice right away the man is not facing in the same direction. So there's a few things to clean up. One thing is that we want to loop all of these poses. So for the idle clip, we are looping the pose. For the walk clip, I forgot to check loop the pose. I will do that now. For the run clip, we also want to loop that pose. So now that looks a little bit weird, but something we want to do though is turn off the root transform position XZ, and just through trial and error I discovered if I check root motion in the generator and then uncheck this, it seems to do the right thing. And in fact, so there we have a running that looks okay. Let's do the same thing for walking. Again, I had checked root motion in the generator. We've checked loop pose, and we want to uncheck the root transform position XZ, and there's the walk. And likewise, we'll do the same for idle. It's a little bit less critical for the idle because the man's not moving anyways, but let's just make it consistent. We are looping the pose, and we want to turn off the baking in the root transform position, and now we have the idle. Another problem though, obviously, for the idle, the man is facing the wrong way. We want him to face this way. For walking and running, he's facing over here, and for idle, he's facing the opposite direction. What we can do here is for the root transform rotation offset, if we change, let's change that to 180, and now let's take a look. That seems pretty close. Maybe we want to adjust that a little bit, and we can drag on the word offset. That seems closer to me, about 160 degrees. So now I think all three are facing in the same direction. Another issue though, we want to blend together the walking and running, which means the footsteps need to be synchronized. So let's look again at the walk. The walk starts with the right foot forward, and if we can drag this a little bit. Yes, the right foot is forward at the beginning of the clip, and then the left foot goes forward, and then the right foot is forward. At the end, the right foot is forward and the left foot is starting a little bit, but mostly the right foot is forward. For running, it's different. It starts with the left foot forward. We can adjust this now if we look at the cycle offset. We want to adjust the cycle offset so that the right foot is forward at the beginning of the clip, right about there. So let's try this. If we put it at this value, and then the left foot comes forward, and at the end of the clip, the right foot is forward. And if we switch back to the walk was quite similar. So I think now we could build a blend tree from these three clips. So we need just one more animation clip for this example, which is waving the man's left arm. So let's do that. So we can call this generated wave animation clip. And I will say a man waving his left arm. Generate that. That doesn't seem bad. So let's save that. We can close the generator. Let's loop the pose. Actually, looping it makes it a bit weird. Okay, let's not loop the pose. But let's rotate the pose so that the man is facing at least in the same direction. approximately as the other animation clips. And why don't we turn off the bake into pose? And again, because we have an avatar mask, this is only going to, we are only interested in the left arm. The rest will be masked out. So using the 4 generated animation clips that we've made, I set up this Animator Controller. In the interest of time, I won't go through step by step how I set this up. I did show the same thing in the previous video, but there's a base layer where the animation goes from idle to moving. The moving has a blend tree between idle, walk, and run. And then there's an upper layer that is just the hand waving. And so that's exactly as it was in the previous video, using the new generated animation clips, and that's all working fine. So he can walk towards us, he can wave, he can walk and run. Okay, so it's all working now. What specific changes would improve the animation generator? Here are 8 comments and suggestions. The quality of the generated animation clips are generally not as good as those available from the asset store that were created using motion capture. It may be that the niche for the animation generator is for more unusual, quirky clips that can't be easily obtained. For normal walking and running, it is easy to get high-quality clips even for free. The clips the generator produces are different every time, even for the same prompt, so it might be possible to get better clips by trying the generator over and over. I would suggest that the user should only need to pay for clips that are saved, because a lot of the generated ones may not be good enough to use. I demonstrated a combination of settings for the generated clips that worked, but I had to try different settings to figure this out kind of by trial and error. I had read the documentation, but it did not spell out exactly what to use. It would be helpful if the documentation included recipes of the combinations of settings in the different places in the user interface that work correctly together. It would be nice if the little editor in the animation generator allowed the clip to be paused and the controls for trimming the clip to be draggable while scrolling through the animation to fine-tune how to trim the clip. It would be nice if a clip could start and/or end at a reference pose, such as an idle, to enable the clips to be put together in an animation controller in a very seamless way. I'm not sure whether that would be part of the animation generator per se, or maybe a separate utility to help match up clips one to the other. This is minor, but the best loop option sometimes provided more than one loop. It's not a big deal because the tool can also subsequently find a loop within a loop. Another minor comment is the 10-second limit on clips, but usually that should be enough. A major point, though, is that I thought there was some ambiguity about the usage rights of the generated clips. The editor has the message, "Generations may be subject to copyright." I don't know what that means in terms of the user's rights to use the generated animation clips. I believe that during the recent live stream on Unity AI, there was a question in the chat about users' rights. And the answer, I think, had been that the user has full rights to use the generated animations. However, the chat transcript is no longer online, so I can't confirm that. I do think Unity needs to be clear about whether the generated animations can be used in finished, published projects, or whether the animations are just for prototyping and can't be distributed. I think the new Unity animation generator could be very useful for creating humanoid characters with complex behaviors, and even more so if the released version after the beta period took some of these suggestions. I hope this quick review was helpful. My last few videos have been focused on reviewing new Unity AI tools. I have been putting videos out every week or two and plan to continue this pace. I'm next going to focus on more videos on ML agents to explore how we could use deep reinforcement learning for humanoid AI. I hope you will join me for some new videos. Until then.